We're tackling something I think we all struggle with at times, productivity.
Oh, yeah.
But not just the, grind yourself to dust kind of productivity.
Right.
We're talking about finding that balance between giving it your all and knowing when to actually, step back and recharge.
Absolutely.
Our guide for this deep dive is Caleb Winga's The Paradox of Time. He dives into finding that sweet spot between dedication, really sticking with something, and rejuvenation.
Yeah.
That whole rest and recovery piece.
Super important.
And so to kick things off, Caleb starts with something super classic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Practice makes perfect.
We've all heard that one.
Right. We hear it from childhood.
Our coaches, our parents.
Our teachers, all that.
Everybody.
And it's true. We all know that putting in the time, it's key for growth.
Oh.
It's like the foundation.
Yeah.
But then Caleb throws this little curveball, which I thought was really interesting.
Okay.
He's basically saying that more time doesn't always equal more success.
Interesting.
Which, kind of makes you stop and think.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever, and I'm sure everyone listening have you ever felt like you pull an all-nighter, you're working on a project or coding or whatever.
You're just grinding away.
You're grinding away, but then by the end of it, instead of things being clearer or better, or you having made, awesome progress, it's almost like things got messier.
Yeah.
Or you actually kind of went backwards a bit.
Happens all the time.
Caleb says that's not just us. It's not just a personal quirk.
Right.
He says that's actually the law of diminishing returns in action.
That's fascinating. What I find really interesting about Caleb's approach is that he's not advocating for laziness here.
No, not at all.
He's not saying goof off, don't work hard.
Right.
What he's really highlighting is that there's a point where pushing harder,
Right.
really pushing harder, actually starts working against us.
Totally.
It's like, if you think about cramming for an exam, right? You stay up all night, you're trying to shove all this information into your brain.
Yeah.
But after a certain point, your brain is just fried.
Totally fried.
It can't absorb anything more. You're just wasting time at that point.
It's like that classic saying, right?
What's that?
You can't pour from an empty cup.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Love that one.
And I feel like that applies to so many things in life.
Yeah.
But especially this idea of productivity. So, okay, we get that. Overdoing it can actually make things worse.
Right.
But how do we actually know?
Yeah. How do you recognize that?
How do we know when we're hitting that point of diminishing returns? Are there red flags?
That's a great question. Caleb points to burnout as a major, flashing red light.
Burnout, yeah.
You know that feeling when you're staring at your computer screen, but, nothing's processing?
You're just, looking at it, but nothing's happening up here.
Exactly. Your brain is basically waving a white flag at that point saying, I'm done.
Yeah.
But he also talks about some of the more subtle signs, and I think this is super important because we don't always recognize burnout when it's happening.
Totally.
So he says, think about it. Are you snapping at your coworkers more than usual?
Oh, yeah.
Is your sleep suffering? Are you finding it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep?
Or you wake up, still tired.
Exactly. Are you skipping workouts that you used to enjoy? Are you reaching for that extra cup of coffee or that extra sugary snack just to kind of get through the day?
Just to, power through it.
Yeah, those are all signs that you might be pushing yourself too hard.
They're like little whispers.
Exactly. Whispers that you need to pay attention to.
Before it becomes, a full-blown shout.
A breakdown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know overdoing it is not the answer.
Right.
But Caleb's also not saying that we should just, slack off.
Right. No, definitely not.
He's not saying to just completely disengage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where this idea of the sweet spot comes in.
The sweet spot, yeah.
He talks about consistent effort.
Okay.
So, still putting in the work.
Still showing up.
But, and this is the key, pairing that with mindful focus.
Mindful focus, I like that.
But what does that actually look like?
What does that mean practically?
What does mindful focus actually mean in our day-to-day lives?
Well, for Caleb, mindful focus is all about being intentional with your time and attention.
Okay, being intentional.
It's not just about sitting down at your desk and hoping for the best.
Right.
It might mean things like silencing your notifications,
Oh, yeah.
turning off your phone, putting it in a drawer, creating a dedicated workspace where you can actually focus.
Because you're not on the couch with the TV on in the background.
Exactly. Or even using a timer to block out specific work sessions.
Like the Pomodoro technique or something.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you. What helps you eliminate distractions and really get into the zone?
Okay, and that brings us to this, like, almost mythical state that productivity gurus love to talk about.
Let me guess. Flow state.
Flow state, yes. I'm curious, from your perspective, how do we actually tap into this flow?
Caleb describes flow state as that perfect intersection between the challenge of the task at hand
Okay,
and your skill level.
so they got to be in alignment.
Exactly. When those two things align, you kind of enter this state of effortless focus and productivity. It's like being totally absorbed in what you're doing.
Like you're in the zone.
Totally in the zone. Time seems to fly by.
You look up, and it's like 3 hours later.
Exactly. You're like, wait, where did the time go?
Think about a time when you were coding and you were so engrossed in, like, a problem
Yes.
that you just completely lost track of everything else.
That's flow.
That's flow. That's that feeling. That's what we're aiming for.
Exactly.
But, okay, real talk for a second. Is it realistic to expect that we're going to hit that level of flow for every single task we have to do?
You're right.
Like, what about those mundane to-dos,
The emails.
The emails, the paperwork.
The stuff that just has to get done.
Yeah, all those things that we all have on our lists that aren't necessarily, like, creatively stimulating or whatever.
You're absolutely right. Flow isn't attainable for everything.
Okay, that's good to know.
But even for those less than thrilling tasks, applying some of Caleb's mindful focus strategies can make a world of difference.
So even for the boring stuff, there are ways to, like, at least make it a little more bearable.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to kind of bring it all together,
Yeah.
we've got time investment, the dangers of overwork, and then this whole idea of finding flow.
Right.
And Caleb, at the end of the chapter, he leaves us with this, like, kind of central question.
And
he's asking, how do we, each of us listening, in our own unique situations, how do we balance dedication, like really sticking with something, with the very real need to rest and rejuvenate?
Because let's be honest, finding that balance can feel like a constant struggle.
It's an ongoing battle.
It is. It really is.
So, like, how do we approach that?
Well, as you said, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Everyone's different.
Everyone's got their own rhythm.
But Caleb does offer some practical starting points.
Okay, I like practical.
Me too. He talks about scheduling regular breaks throughout the day.
Not just for, like, lunch.
Exactly. Not just a big break in the middle of the day, but little mini breaks throughout the day.
Just to kind of reset.
Clear your head, step away from the screen, move your body a little bit.
Yeah, go for a walk, get some fresh air.
Exactly. He also emphasizes the importance of prioritizing sleep.
Sleep, yes. The foundation of everything.
I used to think pulling all-nighters was like a badge of honor.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
But then I realized I was actually getting less done because I was so
The
exhausted.
brain's not working properly.
Exactly. And my code, forget about it. It was riddled with errors.
You're like introducing more bugs than you're fixing.
Exactly. That's when Caleb's point about diminishing returns really hit home for me.
It's like a wake-up call.
It was for me, for sure.
Okay, so to recap, investing time is crucial.
We need to put in the work.
We got to put in the work.
Yeah.
But overworking ourselves, like constantly pushing to the max, can actually backfire spectacularly.
And it often does.
The real sweet spot, that magic zone, is finding that balance
The equilibrium.
between putting in effort, focusing when we need to focus, but also, and this is so important, giving ourselves permission to rest and recharge.
To take care of ourselves.
Okay.
Exactly. And here's a final thought for everyone listening. Try tracking not only how much time you spend on a task, but also how you feel before, during, and after.
So not just the quantity of time, but the quality.
Exactly. Track your energy levels, your focus, your mood.
So you can start to see patterns.
Exactly. This can help you identify your own personal sweet spot for maximum productivity. And honestly, just feeling good about the work you're doing. It's about working smarter, not just harder.
Awesome.